Today we are going to talk about public IP address prefix. You must have created so many prefixes during the creation of your VNet, and if you were using IAC, you know what exactly subnet prefix is. There is a syntax for that, and when you create subnet on the Azure portal, you gave the CIDR range. So those actually is the prefixes. But today we are going to learn about public IP address prefix, not the private. Hello everyone, my name is Arun and let's get started. So this is something which is provided by Azure and it is a wonderful thing. It can help us in so many ways. For example, if you have a centralized firewall in place, or maybe you have a couple of partners, they are using their firewalls, and whenever you are creating any public endpoint or creating any public IP for your resource, you need to update your firewall every single time. And it could be a long process, it could be a small process, but the point is you have to do it every single time. But if you're using the public IP address prefix, so you would be aware like the range, the pool of the public IP addresses that you are going to use for your public resources. So you can open that firewall for the entire range because you know that range belongs to you. All right, so if I have to define the public IP address prefix, it could be reserved range of public IP address for public endpoints for your Azure region, for your Azure subscription. Okay, so it is like you would not define the IP address, but you would define the slash 28 slash 29 slash 30 means the range for the pool, the range for the IP addresses. For example, if you have, let me try to create something here that will help you understand. Let's suppose you have created slash 30. That means you would have four public IPs. Static, always remember this is for static standard PIP. Okay, now this is what you would define. You would not define the 40.50.60.70. You would not define these numbers, the IP addresses, but you would define the range. Okay, for example, if you define slash 30, you would have the IP addresses from 70 to 73. Okay, four IP addresses. .70, .71, .72, .73. So you know already once you have the range with you, like next 4 IP belongs to you. That's what it means. Okay. Now it says we discussed this can create a range, but there is a pricing involved. Okay. Now the thing is you can create slash 30 slash 29 slash 28. Slash 28 is the maximum IP that you can go for, the default size of range. That gives you 16 IP addresses. It's not like you just keep them in your subscription and you're not using it, because there is a price involved, and price is for the entire pool. It's not for the single IP or the IP that is going to use, which is already there. But if you're creating an IP address prefix, it will involve the pricing for the entire pool. So you create the prefix for the IP addresses you know you're gonna use. Okay, and moreover there is a cap on the subscription. Okay, it's not any range, there is a slash 28 maximum range, I think. I'll share the documentation if it changes. For now it is slash 28, and we'll try to create it from the Azure portal where we can see if we can maximize it. But there is a cap on the subscription static IP addresses that a single subscription can use. However, you can increase the limit by talking to the Microsoft. Okay, so you understand what IP address prefixes is. Now let's talk about some benefits. First, we already discussed, we know the range, so we can work accordingly. We know what is our second public IP addresses because we know the range. And the same thing will help us in optimizing the firewall rules. No need to update the firewall rules again and again. And there is another benefit, no range to create prefixes. That means this is what we discussed here. Okay, it means simply there is no range to create as many prefixes as you want. Okay, but there is a cap on the subscription IP addresses. You can create a single prefix. There would be maximum 16 addresses, but you think you need one more, you can create another prefix in the same subscription, same region, goes to /28 as the maximum IP addresses. So you can go for the many IP addresses, but there is a cap on the Azure subscription. You cannot have that number of IP addresses in a single region in a single subscription. So there is something to keep a track on the usage of the public IP addresses, unnecessary usage on the public IP addresses. Okay, now you can connect these public standard IP addresses to any Azure public resources like a virtual machine, like a standard load balancer, Azure Firewall, or the application gateway version 2. Okay, cool. Now let's talk about some constraints of these public IP address prefix. The very first, you can't specify the address space. We all agree on that part because it's the public IP address belongs to the particular region of the Azure. So it's not you who specify the numbers for the IP addresses or the IP addresses, but Azure will give you. You would know the next numbers of the IP addresses as per your pool. Okay, so this is the constraint. You want to use couple of prefixes, you can use, but they could be capped on the subscription. That could be the constraint. And once you have created the prefix pool, you can't change the range. Once it is done, it is done. And it can also help you. For example, you have created some XYZ range for 16 IP addresses and you have opened all your firewalls. You may have so many partners involved. So everybody has opened the firewall for those IP addresses. So it is a good thing, like you cannot change it, because if you change it and you might forget to update your firewall rules, then those rules would be open for those pool. So it could be a good thing as well. Now, it is only for the static standards queue, not for the dynamic, not for the basic. Okay. And it is regional and subscriptional. We all know that. So let's go and create the IP address prefix. Okay. So let's go prefix, public IP prefixes. There we go. And before I create it, let me go to this place. This is my virtual machine. Okay. And let's go here. This is okay. I think let me try to browse the public IP address. Okay. So this is my virtual machine in Australia East, where IIS is installed, so it means I can access this. So what is the task that I have prepared for myself and for you guys? Let's create the IP address prefix and allocate the IP address, public standard IP address from that prefix to this particular VM. So we'll remove this IP address, and before I do that, let me go ahead and create the public IP prefix. Click on create, provide the resource group name. There it is. Give the name IP prefix demo. Give it a name. It's Australia East. This is what it is, right? Australia East. Yeah. Oh no. Okay. Now, SKU standard. You see, there is no way you can change it. IP version. This is only for the IPv4, I think, not for the. Okay. It says IP4, IPv6 as well, so it would be applicable for both. We need only IPv4, and these are the ranges that you can choose. Okay, but you can choose, you can create as many as IP prefixes as of now. They may have some Azure limits, but you can create 31. Let's choose 2 addresses. That would be more than enough for us. Let's review and create. It wouldn't take much more time. And before it's validation going on right now. While it is going, let me go ahead and remove this public IP address from here. Okay. Right here, let's disable it. We'll update it later. And come here. It's the validation passed. Let's create it. So what we did, we created a VM which has a public IP address that we can browse the IIS website from the outside because port 80 is open. We have removed that public IP address. Now we will assign the IP address to the same VM from the IP address prefix range. Okay. Now, right now, our public IP prefix range is under deployment. It's underway. We go back to here and let's wait while it is done. It is underway. Once it's done, it doesn't take that long. See, it is done. Go to the resource. Let's go and check what we have on the resource. This is the range we got, 31. It means 72 and 73 is my IP address. I can utilize those IP address in Australia East for this particular subscription. Okay. And under public IP address, I can see if there is any IP address in use. No, right now. So let's create one IP address from this pool. I'm going to give it a name, prefix pip. Okay. It's asking a DNS name level. Let's give it demo testy test. Add. Now it will create one public IP address that we can assign to our VM or application gateway or standard load balancer, things like that. Okay. So let's wait while it is happening. All right. Okay, it is going. Wouldn't take much long. Okay, it is created now. Let's get back. Go here. Let's make it enable. Go here. There it is, prefix pip, right? We can utilize this and okay, there we go. It took a little while because it just created. It wasn't ready to connect to the NIC, but now it is. Let's create a save and we have prefix pip 2043 106 72. It says failed. Okay. Different. Okay. It says something load balancer, but I don't think I have a load balancer over this VM. And if error comes when you work on your demo part, it is always a good thing. Always remember, this is the only way that you can learn. I don't have any public IP address here, and it is not a part of a load balancer. Okay, it was, so maybe something is there which is blocking it, but it shouldn't. It's updating right now, so let's wait. It should work. Oh, it is. It's IP forwarding. Let's go here. Okay, it is disabled as of now. Let's go enable it. Save it. Oh, okay. It is saying it's because see we learned something new here. I have two machines inside an availability set. Let's go to this virtual machine and we have availability set here. Okay. No, that's not the issue. Something else is the issue. Let's go and read the error again. Failed to save IP address changes for network address this. Error different basic SKU and standard SKU load balancer for public resource and availability set is not allowed. Let me check and get back to you guys. All right, you can see now it has been saved. The issue was the previous IP was the basic that I have attached to this particular NIC, and I needed to reboot the VM. Apart from that, I have checked it's not a part of the availability set. I have checked the other stuff. The thing is, the learning point is we have already discussed so many times a basic IP connected to any of the VM inside the availability set or on behind the load balancer cannot have the standard public IP, and the public IP prefix is only for the standard IP addresses. So that's what it is. Now the NIC has been saved and we have our IP address with us. Let's go to the VM. This is our VM. Let's try to browse it. This is the old page. Yeah, this is the old page 13.ip. Let me close this. This is the new page 20.ip addresses. Okay. Where did it go? Okay. It is not browsing because just the VM is right now in a stopped condition. It's in a deallocating condition. But you got the point, right? It got stuck, so I have to reboot it, and it got stuck in deallocating right now. But I was able to save the NIC, and we do have the IP address right now. So once the VM is up, we would be able to browse the IIS. And meanwhile, let's go to IP prefix under the public IP addresses. You can see there is one IP address which has been used, and in total we got two IP addresses. You can see the next would be 73. Well, that's all about it. Well, thank you for watching and you have a good day.